Today we are going back to the 2011 NBA season where our rookie Jimmy Butler is a part of the Chicago Bulls. And Jimmy's only a 76 overall, but with the prime Derrick Rose as a 96, Jimmy's rookie season still looks promising. They finished season 1 with a solid 44-38 record and ended as the 5th seed. And Jimmy Butler in his rookie season put up a respectable 13 points a night. In the playoffs they made it past the first round, beating down the Dwight Howard-led Orlando Magic in 6 games. And eventually they got bounced out of the second round by the Miami Heat Big 3, which brings us to season 2. And the 2012 and 2013 season, Jimmy Butler rises up to an 81 overall and has officially been inserted into the starting lineup. His improvement on the court was definitely noticed, and he averaged a respectable 17, 3 and 3 in his second season. And besides that, this season was a bit of a disaster, with the Bulls not making the playoffs with a 38 and 44 record. But in the offseason, it was apparent that Jimmy Butler was hungry, drastically improving to an 85 overall. Which brings us to season 3, where Jimmy Butler has his first All-Star appearance and is officially averaging over 20 points a night. But even with Jimmy's improved level of play, they still get bounced out of the playoffs in the second round by DeMar DeRozan and Kylesha Lowry. Jimmy didn't take this loss so well, and he put constant hours in the gym in the offseason and progressed to an 89 overall. And the Bulls are clicking heavily, finishing the regular season with a 63-19 record, becoming the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. And the outlandish duo of Derrick Rose and Jimmy Butler is very apparent, putting the league on notice. In the first round, Jimmy Butler and Derrick Rose decimate the Brooklyn Nets, beating them in 5 games. And in the second round, Jimmy Buckets forced playoff P to see his way to Cancun in a 5-game series, which leads us to the Eastern Conference Finals, where the Taiwan legend Dwight Howard gets embarrassed in a 4-game series. Which brings us to the NBA Finals, and this time we're playing the Houston Rockets, who happen to have a very familiar face on their roster. Since when the f did the Rockets get LeBron? What the f? Yep, they got LeBron James. And in this series, LeBron had his way with our entire Bulls roster, eliminating us in 6 games. And that brings us to the 2015-16 season, where Jimmy is officially a part of the 90 overall club, cementing himself as one of the best players in the NBA. And this season, the Bulls end with a 54-28 record, but this season ends with even more disappointment, losing to the Boston Celtics in the first round, which is kinda insane considering the IRL circumstances. But after the heartbreak of last season, season 6 shows a lot of promise, with Jimmy Butler officially being a 95 overall in the recent offseason acquisition of Dwayne Wade. And the Bulls do not disappoint at all, ending the season with a 57-25 record. Which brings us to the Eastern Conference Finals, which we end up finding a Game 7 against the Nets, who somehow have KD and Stephen Curry on the roster. With 44 seconds left to get it into KD. KD misses the shot, which means we are up 10 with 34 seconds remaining, and we can just drain the clock out. Michael Carter-Williams for 3. And it's just gonna be a brick session. KD brings the ball up, passes to Curry, who's tired. I don't know what they're doing. KD, another wide open 3, and he breaks it, which means that the Chicago Bulls and Jimmy Butler are finally making their first finals appearance. And let's see who we're gonna face. In the finals, we find ourselves against Kawhi Leonard and the Spurs, and we defend our home court, taking both Game 1 and Game 2, which means the series is going to San Antonio. And Jimmy Butler puts on a 53-point masterclass in Game 3, which brings us to Game 4. And yeah, in casual Jimmy Butler fashion, it does not look good for us. We are getting decimated in Game 4. We're down by borderline 30, and there's no way we can come back. And honestly, I'm gonna blame it on the fact that they have Al Horford, because he seems to be Jimmy Butler's kryptonite. And in classic Jimmy Butler fashion, he doesn't want to close out the series. And it was the same thing in Game 6 as well, as the Spurs fire on all cylinders to force a Game 7 in Chicago. And going into Game 7, Jimmy knows that he has absolutely everything to lose this season. Oh my God, it's happening. It is happening, bro. We're up 15. Jimmy Butler is going to be an NBA champion as long as he doesn't blow a 15-point lead in a minute. Derrick Rose shoots a crazy shot and shoots an early 10%. It's not looking good, but I highly doubt that Kemba Walker and the Spurs are going to come back from down 15. Bro, it's looking like GG's. We got the ball. Oh my God. Jimmy Butler is an NBA champion. I'm actually recording this before Game 7, so I have no idea what's gonna happen. But if Jimmy Butler somehow manages to close it out just like the simulation right here, I borderline just called it. Or I guess you could say 2K called it, but borderline called it. And it happened, bro. The Chicago Bulls are NBA champions in Season 6. I don't know what the future is going to hold for us, but Jimmy Butler finally got his championship and has proved himself in Chicago. And as expected, Derrick Rose is the Finals MVP, but that doesn't mean that Jimmy Butler and Dwayne Wade didn't do their parts in the Big 3. Jimmy Butler is even hungrier after realizing the feeling of winning a championship and grinds in the offseason to peak at a 97 overall. But unfortunately, D Wade is starting to decline heavily and drops from a 94 to an 87 overall. Even with the declining Dwayne Wade, the Bulls still managed to finish the season with a 61-21 record and find themselves in the NBA Finals once again. Except this time, we're playing the Dallas Mavericks, who have Chris Paul and Dirk Nowitzki. We protect our home court in Game 1 and Game 2, which brings us to Dallas, where Dirk puts up a 42-point performance in Game 3, but a Jimmy Butler masterclass was incoming and we steal Game 4 on the road, which brings us back to Chicago for Game 5. And we are up 20 with Michael Carter-Williams at the free throw line, and it's very apparent that Jimmy Butler is going to be a back-to-back NBA champion in this NBA season. Chris Paul brings the ball up the court. It really doesn't even matter. They are down by 21 points. Chris Paul still putting up an effort even though they're down 21, goes up against D Rose. This game is absolutely over, and we're gonna hold out the final seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the Chicago Bulls are back-to-back NBA champions. I'm actually in disbelief. A team that looked so dysfunctional and was so disappointing for like 5 straight seasons wins the championship in back-to-back years. All it took was an aging Dwayne Wade. And Jimmy Butler is going to get his first Finals MVP and his second championship. With nothing left to prove, Jimmy Butler takes it easy and maintains a 97 overall. And it's very apparent that he's looking to three-peat this season. But unfortunately, his aspirations were cut short. With a respectable 55-27 record, they were fine in the regular season, but get bounced out of the first round by the Charlotte Hornets. And in the 2019 season, this looks to be the beginning of the decline for the Bulls organization, as Dwayne Wade finally hangs it up and decides to retire. The Bulls only won 49 games this season, but somehow find themselves in the NBA Finals against the Pelicans. We defend home court and bring the series to New Orleans up 2-0. The Pelicans defend home court in Game 1 just like the Mavericks did, but a Derrick Rose 42-point masterclass stole Game 4, bringing us back to Chicago. And in Jimmy Butler fashion once again, he doesn't want to close out a series at home, which brings us to a Game 6 in New Orleans. And here we are in New Orleans. They're inbounding the ball down 9 with a minute and a half to go. They give it to Kevin Love in the post. He's double teamed. Andre Drummond. He puts it up and misses. Joakim Noah with the offensive rebound. We have the ball up 9, and we might have our 3rd NBA championship upon us. Derrick Rose wide open for 3. He misses it, but it doesn't matter. Michael Carter-Williams with the rebound. He is fouled. And there we have it. Jimmy Butler has his 3rd NBA championship. So I think it's safe to say that he should have stayed on the Chicago Bulls. And unfortunately, this is where the video ends, as Derrick Rose leaves the Chicago Bulls to go to the Memphis Grizzlies. The Bulls don't make the playoffs in either season 9 or season 10, bringing us to the 2022-23 season, where we have no idea what Jimmy's future holds. But in this simulation, he ends up as an 8-time All-Star, a 3-time NBA champion, a 1-time Finals MVP, and a 5-time member of the first team All-Defense. Now, if you want to see what would happen if Taquisha Fall, aka Taco Fall, was in the WNBA, then go ahead and click on this video right here.